Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the LinkedIn webinar, The Fundamentals with Shauna Cole. We're very happy to have you on with us today. This is the second in a series of webinars that we, the Associated Alumni, wanted to offer the class of 2020 and other current students and young alumni to get you kind of engaged, and particularly in this platform, which I think is a wonderfully useful platform that we all could be using and probably doing a little bit better at using. And so Shauna, who is an HR specialist, she is also an alumni of UNB, and she's an instructor within the Faculty of Business here at UNB St. John. We'll walk you through. She's been very successful at using this platform, and I think she'll be able to provide a lot of tips and tricks for all of us to enhance or to even create, if you haven't already created your profile on LinkedIn, to also enhance it as well and to create it. So thank you, Shauna. Just a couple of housekeeping. If you want to ask a question, obviously everyone is muted and your video is off, so you can relax and just listen to Shauna. You can ask your questions using the Q&A below or even the chat if you wish. The presentation will be about 30 minutes, and then we'll open it up to the questions following that. So if that works for everybody, if you have any questions of me, you certainly can reach me privately through the chat as well. So I'll turn it over to Shauna to proceed.
Great, thanks very much, Mary. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today to talk about LinkedIn. Mary sort of alluded to the fact it's my favorite, and this platform has so much opportunity for you as students looking to build your personal brand as you're making the transition to the professional world, and also as job seekers. This is me. I'm Shauna. I'm a career coach, UNB alumna, and I'm obsessed with digital. There's so much opportunity for you right now in terms of taking your job search to the next level, that LinkedIn's going to be a key part of your process. I hope anyways. So here's what we're going to look at today. We're going to cover what's the point of LinkedIn. It is really the social platform that's probably the most understood. I don't know, maybe TikTok's most understood right now, but LinkedIn also a very, very misunderstood and underutilized platform. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about why you should absolutely be using LinkedIn to build your personal brand and to look for work online. You can use LinkedIn to become a thought leader in your industry. You can use LinkedIn to showcase work you've done. The possibilities kind of go on and on and on, but you can really use this platform to extend the usefulness of your resume. So we're going to talk about that today as well. And LinkedIn, the most misunderstood social platform out there. So what the heck is it? It's a social networking site that focuses on networking and career development. Well, doesn't that sound useful for someone who's looking to build their professional career? You're like, that's all great and everything, but I have no idea where to start on this platform, what I should be posting, how I should be engaging. You just got like basically all the questions. And because it's so tied to your professional career, it can be a little bit scary and intimidating, right? The first step to really using LinkedIn in an intentional way is going to be building out a profile that's complete. So once you've got that profile in place, you're in a much better situation to actually use this site as it's intended for networking, for career development. And inside of that comes things like building new connections, looking for work, positioning yourself as a leader, showcasing the value you can bring to employers. That all comes inside of LinkedIn. But guess what? You can't go out and go after it until you've got a profile that you feel proud of and that you're excited to share with recruiters or other folks in your network. Okay, so you can see how you can't go out and do the networking if you don't have the profile to back it up. It's basically the equivalent of going out and looking for a job and your resume, you're like cringing every time you're submitting it. That's not cool, and that should tell you that there's something missing. So why should you use LinkedIn? So first of all, LinkedIn can help you build your personal brand in a couple of key ways. What's really cool about the platform is it works for you both really passively, and you can also use it actively. So what I mean by that is the platform can basically work for you while you sleep. So imagine you've got a beautiful profile in place. You're sharing some really great, useful content that's aligned with your career goals. That platform is being viewed all day and all night by all kinds of people, right? So it can literally work for you and bolster your brand while you sleep if you're using it in an effective way. So that's the passive side of things. And then you've got the active side of things where you can go out and actively post on the platform, engage with posts from other people. But not only that, you can also use messaging features and so on to get in touch with key contacts that can help you in your career and that you can provide value to with your skills and experience. Okay, but that's kind of the next lesson. But no, that's why we care about it. We care about our LinkedIn profile because it helps us build our personal brand, because we can use it both passively and actively, and because it's going to be key to being able to network on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, because you're on there and you're building this beautiful personal brand, you're going to impress recruiters. Absolutely, hands down, you can impress recruiters with a great LinkedIn profile. You know what I'm talking about. Most of the profiles out there are like not great, not even completely filled in. So when you come across a profile that's at the very least complete, you kind of take notice. Now let's imagine your profile being one of these beautifully complete profiles, but not only that, you take it up a level and you add some multimedia as an example to your profile. You add a cutout of a project that you worked on your profile. So the recruiter's experience of you has changed and really been taken up a notch. So after looking at your resume, recruiter scopes you out on LinkedIn, and imagine the resume is part of the story and an important part of the story, a high-level introduction. And then they can go to your LinkedIn profile and seek out even more information. Can you imagine if that LinkedIn profile was, again, fully built out, actually showcased some of the work that you did? Can you imagine if your profile stood out as kind of like the top 5% of profiles on the platform for the sheer fact that you're using a bunch of features that are on there that other people don't use? You should use LinkedIn because you can get discovered. Recruiters are searching on this platform. They're headhunting for their talent, and they're using that search bar like crazy to look for skills. So here's a quick hack for you. If you right now have something in your headline that maybe says looking for work or student, you are probably not showing up in many, if any, recruiter searches. You're gonna wanna create a headline that has some keywords that line up with the kind of jobs you actually want to get. I'm gonna get into this in some more detail, but think of LinkedIn as, in addition to being this place where you can showcase your skills, where you can showcase your brand, where you can build yourself up professionally, think of it as well as a search engine. And I want you to imagine in everything that you're putting out there on the platform, I want you to imagine what is your target audience actually looking for on there. So when that recruiter, when that hiring manager is going to the search bar on LinkedIn, what are they typing in? It's probably like, definitely not new grad, student. Like those are probably not things that they're typing in that search bar. So your job is to understand what your target audience is actually typing in the search so that you can get discovered and you can start to show up. This is another way that your profile can work for you passively. So you literally can be like, I'm home having a nap, and the recruiter's searching and you show up in a search. So just by doing all the work up front, having that profile there, you're in a much better position to get seen and be discovered by recruiters. I just want to remind you guys, if you have any questions, make sure you put them in that Q&A box, and we'll be sure to address them before the end of the session, if that makes sense. So before you start with creating your LinkedIn profile, your beautiful LinkedIn profile that you're going to be so proud of, you are going to be like, hey mom, check me out online. The recruiter's going to love you on there. You're going to have awesome work showcased. Before you go there, before you start actually building the profile, let's take a step back and ask ourselves, what is it that you are trying to achieve on LinkedIn? Okay, so I can tell you that what I'm trying to achieve on LinkedIn is probably pretty different from what you're trying to achieve on LinkedIn. And all of our objectives are not going to be the same. So for me, I've created a profile that's really, really in line with seeking out clients for my career coaching practice. So the language and some of the stuff I showcase is quite different from what you would see from a job seeker. So if you go and creep me out and you look at my profile, because I know you're gonna creep me, if you go and check that out, you're gonna say, why does she have this, but she's giving me advice to put this. The reason I'm gonna look a little bit different is because my purpose, what I'm trying to achieve, might be different from what you are trying to achieve, okay? You can't actually start to answer those questions like, what is the recruiter looking for, or what is my target audience looking for? What are they putting in that search bar, until you know who that target audience is. Think that makes sense. So you've got to know who you're targeting, what you want to get out of the platform, and then you're in a much better situation to put your mind in that place of, okay, what the heck are they searching for? What do they want to see on my LinkedIn profile? How can I take it up a notch from what's already on my resume and add to the case for me being the most awesome hire that this company has ever seen, rather? Okay, these are the 5 steps I'm gonna go through, and here's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna run through the presentation so you've got the foundational knowledge about these 5 steps. And then I'm actually gonna pop over to a LinkedIn profile and from there start to walk you through it. Now, my 5 tips. Spoiler alert, they're all right here. Put in the time, claim your URL, look for clues. You're like a detective out there. Write an awesome headline and use the summary space. I'm gonna pop over. I see a question coming up here in the chat right now. I'm just gonna pop over and take a look at that. What do you suggest students who don't have work experience related to the type of work they want? What should they do? So when a student doesn't have work experience related to the type of work they want, but want to post something that shows what they have done and why they would be a good employee, I think that's a great question. And I know it's always a challenge, right? Like when you're starting out, and typically when you're starting out too, it's like you're looking for that first entry-level job, yet the entry-level job's like, hey, have 2 years experience, right? There's frequently a disconnect. So I think in this case, if a student perhaps doesn't have like relevant work experience that's tied to a specific job, I still think that's totally okay. And this profile is going to serve them, and it's going to serve them in a couple of ways. So say, for example, I'm going to talk about this example a little bit later on, a marketing analyst position. And say, for example, they're calling for a year of experience. And you don't have that year of experience, but you've got your university behind you. So why not demonstrate how you know how to make a poster? You know how to do that, right? You had to do it at some point in some creative class, or you were involved in student council and had to figure something out. what if you could showcase that piece of work on your profile? And you see, it becomes quite powerful because you're showing the employer that you can do the thing rather than saying, hey, employer, I can do the thing. It's much more powerful anytime you can show instead of tell. So I think students, think creatively about what you're going to put on your LinkedIn profile. You have got tons and tons of multimedia and examples of skills that you would all possess in terms of writing, in terms of presentations and so on. And how can you take those projects that you've already got and put them on your LinkedIn profile to really, really bolster the case that you are qualified and you've done this stuff before, because we know you have. So the first thing that I think is really, really important that that you do when it comes to your LinkedIn profile is to put in a little bit of time. Okay, so LinkedIn is like any other social profile. They have stuff that they want you to, they want your data. They want your information in there. They want your data. So the platform is super, super friendly when it comes to suggestions of saying like, you should add this, you should add this, you should add this. So watch for these sorts of cues. Again, I'm going to show you, I'll do a walkthrough, but you need to watch for cues that the platform is giving you and don't ignore them. Your profile is not complete until you receive this notification of AllStar Status. You need to complete your profile because the more information you give the platform, the more searchable you are, and the more you're going to start to show up in search appearances. There are a few key metrics that I'm going to recommend we always keep track of on LinkedIn, because then that way we know directionally we're sort of headed into the right spot. I'm going to show you the dashboard in a couple of minutes here that I'm talking about, and I'll also show you what I mean by AllStar Status. Oh, well, I guess I'm showing you right now. I'm going to show you live on a profile, but here's the image of the All-Star. So what you see at the top right corner, circled in the yellow there, is the All-Star status that you're looking to achieve. And then right underneath that, those are the metrics that I'm going to recommend that we always track on our dashboard. If you don't have All-Star Status, you'll see sort of a progress bar that leads up to the All-Star Status. And I'll be sure to show that to you later on. At the end of the day, All-Star Status means I exist, I have filled out all the required fields, I have a complete, arguably sometimes, a complete LinkedIn profile. Okay, claim your custom URL. This is so easy to do. Just do it, okay? I'll give you the instructions. So but I want to tell you why you should do it. If you don't claim your custom URL, it goes something like this. It goes LinkedIn/in/ShaunaCole12345690. So it's got this string of numbers at the end of it. Minor detail, but minor details, those are the things that matter when you're trying to build a professional brand, when you're trying to create a resume that looks perfect. The details will come to matter, okay? So when you claim your unique URL, all of a sudden you're LinkedIn/in/Shauna Oh, it's much neater and tidier. There is a message in that about your attention to detail. There is a message in that about your personal brand and the effort that you're willing to put forth. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Totally boosts your credibility, and it looks so much nicer on a resume when you can just put a nice, neat and tidy URL. This is what it looks like without the claimed URL. So it goes LinkedIn/in and then a number, right? And then this is what it looks like. Yeah, see, I give myself a check mark for that. So this is what it looks like with the URL claimed. Look for clues. When populating your profile, you got to look for clues. So if you enter in the mindset of like, I want to show up in searches, I want to be discoverable on LinkedIn, the place to start is on job boards. The place to start is looking at other job seekers who you're like, she's doing a really good job at this. and other profiles that impress you. Look around, look for clues. People who look like they're having success on the platform, be inspired by that. Apply it to your profile as well. And likewise, job descriptions, they have so much good information in them. Go to that qualifications section of the job description. Like almost like chuck out everything else, but go to the qualifications section. There's going to be so many good words in there. And those are literally the exact words that recruiters are searching for. I touched on this a little bit already, and that is about writing an awesome headline. Your headline is that one-liner that comes right under your name on LinkedIn. It is probably the most important piece of your profile, because I don't know if you've noticed, but anytime you go out into the LinkedIn world, if you have, maybe you haven't, some people are like, I'm scared, I don't go anywhere on there. But if you go out into the LinkedIn world and you comment on someone's post, your headline follows you no matter where you go. So that's basically your tagline. So if you're out engaging on, Sammy Recruiter's LinkedIn post and it says student or recent graduate, it's like, Sammy Recruiter probably doesn't care too much to go and visit your profile. But if you're like, cutting edge marketing knowledge with a impressive GPA and have some sort of accomplishment you can cite at the end of the headline, that's much more powerful. And maybe Sammy Recruiter is gonna be like, I happen to have an opening. So they're gonna click on you. Passive, you've actively engaged, but you're not there right now. You've got a passive click on your profile and bam, you've got a recruiter now coming to visit you. Hopefully. Use the summary space. I'm going to show you on screen what that looks like. A lot of people tend to skip this step also. So in your profile, there's a section that says about. I want you to include 3 to 5 paragraphs. Write it in the first person. There's no don't do and Shauna recently taught the course in business communication. No, not cool. First person, write it like you're writing your profile. Until you're like Gary Vee. Do you know Gary Vee? Anyway, so write it like you're writing your profile. First person is the style and tone you want on here. Keywords, 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 so you start to show up in searches. It's more than a tool for just job searching, though. I think you get that. Much more than a tool for job searching. LinkedIn can bolster your brand, help you build your network, and do lots and lots of positivity for your career. But it starts here with the profile. I'm gonna pop out of here for a second. So bear with me while I do a little switch. I'm gonna switch from here to an actual LinkedIn there. An actual LinkedIn profile. I think we can all see this. All right, so I am going over to an actual LinkedIn profile now. Let me move this. There we go. Okay, this is Jaden McFake Test. That's good, right? That's good. This is Jaden McFake Test, and I wanted to show you what a profile looks like in the works because it's so important. I got my checklist here. Make sure I cover my things. The first thing I want you to take note of, I'm going to go to View Profile, and I want you to notice here. I've just clicked on. I went to me. I clicked View Profile again in case you missed that. Okay. This is how easy it is to actually claim your profile URL. It's very easy. Edit, and then see up here in the top right, see how Jaden McFake Test, he has all these numbers on his, at the end of his name, right? And then he can just kind of edit this and see. It default is actually going to take the numbers away. I would click save and then bam, Jaden McFake Test has no numbers at the end of his name, okay? Jaden McFake Test likes to have numbers at the end of his name for demo purposes, so I'm gonna leave him alone for now. I'm gonna come back to the profile again. there's not much really happening in terms of his feed because he's got like no connections. You can see up here, I mentioned earlier about the platform really wanting you to give it data. So look at, it's literally telling me, Jaden, do these steps to get the most out of LinkedIn, go here and populate this and that. So it's gonna walk me through pretty much step by step, all the stuff I should be adding to my profile. I'm gonna go back to view Jaden McFigtest's profile here. And he is a beginner, right? So remember I mentioned earlier, the dashboard. You saw a shot of a dashboard and you saw some numbers in here. And then here you saw AllStar Status. Because Jaden McFigtest is new, he still needs to add a bunch of information. So you can see here, yep, he's done a couple of the check marks. He's got a couple of those done, but he needs to continue to work through to get this AllStar Status. So if you're just starting with your profile, remember this is super, super important that you want to reach through this whole graph and get it all done. I want to draw your attention to this section here that says Add Profile section. It's very important. You can add information to your profile to make it more robust. The first thing I recommend that you add is a summary section. And that's where you would add those 3 to 5 paragraphs written in the first person that are keyword rich. They're aligned with things that the recruiter is looking for, right? So I would add this section and you type it in here and hit save, and then that's going to, that's actually going to show up on your profile. This is a test so you can see. Great, look at me, I got a badge, woohoo, moving along, right? Jaden, you're gonna have so many job offers. No, so see now you've got this nice about section, and ideally, you know, we'd have a bunch of data in there as well. Now, you can also add in featured. This is where if you had some multimedia that you could feature on your profile, you would add it in here, and then that shows up down here on your profile as well. Okay, so all of these things are going to help you to create a profile that's really, really intentional, aligned with the level of effort you are willing to give your job search. And all of these things are going to start to make you stand out on LinkedIn. I have to mention this, this headline. This is the very, very important piece of information that, that you need to include because it follows your name literally anywhere you engage on the platform. Okay, super, super important. I'm actually going to send you and follow up to the session the exact headline that I recommend that you use to create a really great headline for your profile. So I hope this is helpful. I'm going to recap your view profile is where you're going to find this piece around edit public profile. All the goods to add profile sections are in here. Please make note of this fact. LinkedIn gets a bad rap because it's glitchy. It's undeniable. It's got glitches. And it can be frustrating sometimes when you're trying to add media, in particular to your profile, which is why I think a lot of people give up, okay? But there's so much value in taking the time and saying, you know what, it's glitching out like crazy today. I'm gonna try it again tomorrow. Please don't give up. There is so much value in taking the time to mess around with it and create something that looks really, really awesome. That I just know that that's gonna come back and pay you in terms of your job search and in terms of showing up in recruiter searches, but also really showing up for recruiters when they land on your profile. There are, you might notice, they do feature rollouts as well, and it just seems to be a lot more feature rollouts and a lot more beta testing. You might see some slight differences in how this add profile section appears. Because they'll often try different sections or different features, okay? So the best way to do it is literally if you're like, oh, what is what is this, or is it missing from mine? I can't guarantee yours is gonna look exact same, because just depending on a bunch of factors, sometimes this shows up a little different. Run a Google search. If you're like, I'm really stumped by this, there will be something that pops up that goes, hey, there's this forum of people who are confused by this new LinkedIn feature or a missing feature. Okay, so now everyone's so well equipped to have an amazing LinkedIn profile, right? I'm gonna do one more quick share here. I'm gonna go back to, bear with me. There we go. I'm gonna back over here. I have 3 really quick tips. Add a professional headshot and a custom banner. At the top, you have space for a banner, just like you do a Facebook cover. Add them. It looks like ugly without it. So many people don't do it that you're immediately going to stand out by adding a custom banner. Your writing style should always be in the first person, and whenever possible, you should use numbers and examples to really demonstrate your credibility. If you met a specific target, if you met a specific deadline, all of those things, I don't care if it's co-op, if it was in a volunteer activity or whatever, talk about those achievements in your profile. Your profile can be a hard copy and paste from your resume, as long as you have taken a step back and your resume is aligned with the kind of job that you're actually seeking. That is the number one thing we need to be doing when we're creating resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles. I don't care. We need to be saying, who are we creating this for? And create a profile that acts as an extension of your resume, that adds to it. So yeah, it's got all the information from your resume, but it's also got a really, really great PowerPoint that you built. It's got a really great recommendation from a professor. Okay, so now what? Literally work towards AllStar status. You start filling it in. It's like any other platform. There's certainly a learning curve associated with LinkedIn, and there's certainly lots of different discussions and avenues we could take, but at a very, very fundamental level, the most important things you can do is know who you're creating your profile for. So that is, who is your target audience? And you can work towards that AllStar status, because once you're there, you're going to start to show up in searches. Your LinkedIn progress can be tracked using your dashboard. So in that dashboard, you see like your profile views, your post views, and your profile completeness measured as, you know, beginner or all-star status. Once you start to see the numbers in your dashboard move in a positive way, that should be a signal to you that you are on the right track for having an awesome LinkedIn profile. I'm going to send you a LinkedIn stats tracker so that you can keep track of your progress. And it also gives you a nice definition of what those key stats are and why the heck you should care about them. I'm going to hand it over to Mary and see if we have any questions that we want to talk about.
I don't think there's any questions from those who are tuning in, but you're certainly welcome to add some questions here. But I've got a couple of things. I know you've mentioned, Shauna, those keywords that are important to add to the profile. Is there a place that students and or recent grads can access those keywords so that they're making sure that they're actually, if there's somebody who's doing a search, that they're going to pop out?
Yeah. I'm not muted. Okay, no, I'm good. Yeah, here's where I would always start with keywords when it comes to, this is true for resumes and cover letters too. I would go out and be like a detective and go seek out my ideal job postings. Go find the job postings and use what's in the qualifications section as your guide, because those are, whatever is in the qualification section is literally what the recruiter is looking for on your resume. If your resume can mirror and match up to those keywords, you're in a great situation. And likewise, if your LinkedIn profile has keywords that match up with that job description, you're actually gonna show up in searches. There's so much value in that. And even to get a little bit more detailed on it, assess the strength of the job description you're reading. So quite often, if it is a small organization that maybe doesn't have an HR department, that job description maybe isn't going to be great or be a really good representation of what recruiters are looking for in that field. But on the flip side, you know, who has really great job descriptions is big companies or agencies that do recruitment as a business. So big consulting firms.
There was a question from one of the viewers or tuner-inners, and it was a good one because a lot of times I think we assume this platform is useful to business students or business grads, right? So the question, obviously, she may be a science student, or he is a science student or a science grad. How useful is this if you are a science and you're looking for research opportunities, or maybe looking to connect with people in your field, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, I see it now. Okay, great. Can science students find value in this? No, I think for sure, because I think science students are probably looking for work too, right? Arguably, I don't know. One of my clients right now is a PhD who's been working really hard on his profile. But absolutely, I think the first question you need to ask yourself is like what you would use it for. So if you are a science student who's looking for work in a private or government organization, then absolutely you should be on LinkedIn and look to those job descriptions to help you fill it in, and there would be value in that. And likewise, if you're someone who if you see yourself building yourself up as kind of a thought leader in your field, if you dream of, I don't know what exactly you're studying, but if you aspire to really add value to your field or create new research or to get a book deal, I don't know, whatever those long-term goals are, there's value in showing up on the platform in a meaningful way to build up a personal brand. So you can build yourself as a thought leader. You can literally start to be seen as an expert on the platform right out of school if you know how to use it well. I follow one account on LinkedIn. The guy I think he's like 23 years old. He's self-taught and just really great at using the platform, shares great content. I think he's a thought leader, and I think he's got like 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, right? So there's nothing saying that, no, it's only for job seekers or it's only for the purpose of applying for jobs. Not the case, but ask yourself, what do you want to get out of it before you put the time and effort in?
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a question from one of the students or recent grads. Can you achieve AllStar status and edit the URL on the free version of LinkedIn? You can, right?
Yeah.
I don't pay for my version, I'm sure, and I can do all that.
Yeah, you can. And I mean, it's a good discussion too to even have about paid versus free version of LinkedIn. You can always try out like the premium version. I think is free for like 30 days, but most job seekers get by on the free version. But recruiters are on the premium version, because all the premium version really does is open up more search capabilities and filters.
Yeah.
So if that's something that interests you and can be your jam, go for it. Try it out for 30 days, see if it's worth the money. But if not, you can totally do most of what you want to do on the free version. Again, it comes back to, what do I want to get out of the platform?
I thought so. Another question, in the age of data and collection and infringement of privacy, is there any advice on filling out enough information but not giving too much information? Which obviously, yes, would be a bit of a concern.
It's such a good question, Jake. Like that's a really great question. It's something I know I go back and forth with. I think the right answer is what feels right for you. I've had clients even go so far as to say, like, a really useful tactic is to put, I always recommend candidates put an email address in the about section so that people don't have to kind of fumble to figure out how to get a hold of you. So they want to put an email address in there. But then it's like, you know what it's like, someone finds that email address and you're on some spam list forever. So I've had candidates go so far, clients rather, because they're applying for jobs, go so far as to create another email address that they're like, okay, I'm comfortable sharing this one, but perhaps not my private one that I've had for a number of years. So that would be one thing, and a great question in terms of infringement of privacy. And like the balance of information. I would always caution you if you're sharing information that's like a project you did from for an employer, and or a project where you maybe did some group work on. Think about that. So in the example of work, are you sharing information that is confidential? In that case, no, black it out. You don't have to put the company name on there. You might need to hide some numbers. And with the idea of group work, you'd want to make sure that people are credited for their work and contributions. So certainly it's a balance. You are 100%, probably like every other platform, rewarded for more information always. So I say give it as much as you're comfortable with and that you feel safe sharing with the world.
And that kind of goes into another question about, there's a fine line sometimes between, too many posts or no posts. How much post? How much is too much? I mean, do people look at it and go, oh my gosh, like their profile is just too much?
Yep.
Is there a fine line?
So I think there is. I think there is. And acknowledge though, first, that it's not like Facebook, right? Like the algorithm is a little bit different. So it's like harder to get all up in someone's face with all your cute baby pictures. Like if Facebook, it's pretty easy to show up in the feed repeatedly. And LinkedIn, just the way the algorithm works, it would be pretty rare that you're showing up as frequently. If you are posting on LinkedIn as a job seeker, I would recommend that you're being active on there. Hopefully you're going and keeping up on any comments or anything like that. So you post once a day if you can. Post stuff that's relevant to your job search. Post stuff that's relevant to your values, and post stuff that you feel like is basically an extension of your personal brand. Would you talk about this topic in the workplace? That's an appropriate thing to post. If you wouldn't, put it on Facebook.
So Shauna, when you say post, you're not creating new posts. What you might be doing is you see a really interesting article on an area of interest that you have, and you share that post with the larger LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think that's what's most common, but I should clarify that, Mary. Thank you. So I'm saying sharing content that you got like at the Harvard Business Review or whatever. But if you're asking the question of creating unique content, absolutely. Likewise, if you can do one thing once a day on LinkedIn, I think that puts you in a great situation, whether that's resharing content from someone else that tells your story in a good way, or creating a post yourself to share on your network. Once a day, I think is more than enough on LinkedIn to start to show up. I think that you should also consider commenting on posts. I think that a lot of the times I feel like a like on LinkedIn is kind of useless. It really is. It doesn't do anything like to get your visibility or to get your, the headline out there. But there's tons and tons of power in commenting on other people's posts, particularly people who have broad networks. Really good, thoughtful comments, I think will serve you well.
Awesome. There'd be another question there. I don't know if you can see.
So professional photos. I mean, you don't necessarily even have to like do a whole professional photo shoot. You just need a professional looking photo. So that
selfie. I mean, it could be a good selfie, right?
It could be a good. I would frown upon it, but if you have a special talent. for killer selfies. Yeah, so it could happen. I won't rule it out completely. But typically your best bet is to get someone to take your photo in a clean background and a professional setup. It always comes down to lighting. If you've got a window in front of you, that's always the best approach for a nice professional looking photo. Or if a photo shoot's your jam, by all means, go sign up for that too. Yeah.
If you have a graduation photo, I think that would be appropriate, correct?
Yeah, I see
for a period of time. I mean, for a period of time, maybe.
Yeah, and the only thing I always caution people, people make judgments based on people's age. And my word of caution around graduation attire is if you're dressed in your cap and gown or whatever, I feel like it sends me a message about your age and experience, and I would stray away from that. Celebrate your graduation, maybe do it for, have that as your profile picture for a period of time. Better yet, why not create a unique post on LinkedIn and say something about, you know, how meaningful this experience is to you. But then go to a professional headshot, because I don't want someone to go like, he's 22, so I'm going to screen him out of my process, which is a reality that that new grads can face.
But I think, you know, again, given the situation that we're in right now, where we know certainly at UNB we're not able to celebrate our graduates in person, and certainly across, you know, the country, unfortunately, many graduations are being canceled or postponed. I think it is a good opportunity, just from my perspective, and I'm no expert, but I think it's a good opportunity to maybe post your graduation photos, and it's to your point, to say something about how proud you are that you completed your degree, because I think people are very responsive, particularly now,
yes,
in sharing your accomplishments and really congratulating the graduate. So, you know, for a short window, I would certainly suggest, if you're looking for employment or looking to make some connections, is to sort of tap yourselves on the back and say, listen, I'm really proud of my degree, and share that for a little bit, because I think we are all very happy and proud of our class of 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? It would be a great challenge to the class of 2020 for that to be your first uniquely created LinkedIn post, to be your grad picture. And if you posted your grad photo with a nice caption, oh my gosh, do you know how much visibility? It's going to get you visibility. Visibility is a good thing on LinkedIn, because chances are the people who you want to be seen by are on there. So there's value in actually using the photo and the experience and the celebration as a tool through which you can build your personal brand, start to build some visibility, and get some goodwill. People are just going to be like, oh yay, everyone will be so happy for you. I cannot scroll past a graduation, or any celebration, or someone that got a certificate or whatever. You just want to say, yes, good for you. You did that. People will want to celebrate that for sure. I want to see them.
If you're a student on certainly participating today, or a recent grad, or somebody who's just graduating class of 2020, we have 90,000 UNB alumni out there in the world. And obviously by sharing that you are a UNB grad, you're very proud as being a UNB, a recent UNB grad, or soon to be grad, you are going to get the attention of alumni, fellow alumni. And we're a very supportive organization and a very supportive support system for you. So you never know what might come of that. So put it out there.
Yeah, no, it's so true. That's so true. That's so true, and well put. And when we go forward, so in our next session, we're going to be talking about how to get out in the LinkedIn world a little bit more, right? But before we invite people over to our profile, before we have company, we want to make sure we're looking pretty good and we tidy up, right? So the next step, when we go out into the world and talk about networking, we're going to touch on some of those specific tactics. So the UNB alumni is a great example. It's like, oh my gosh, Mary's the recruiter at this company I want to work at, and how might I use that connection as a way to get some face time with Mary? So we'll go to sort of that level of detail, and how can you literally inbox a stranger and not feel like a total weirdo
through that common denominator is being a UNB grad. So
yeah. Well,
thank you. I think that we have no other questions, and that certainly takes us. So June 3rd is the third webinar, and that is obviously, as Shauna mentioned, is sort of creating that network. And how do you build your network? Once you have a really great profile, how do you build your network on LinkedIn? So Shauna will proceed that. And then on June 10th, we have a panel of 3 HR specialists, from some of them working in St. John, who are HR managers in St. John and Fredericton, and they're going to provide their advice and share some expertise with students who are looking to possibly get into the workforce or whatever. So we have that on June 10th. So we hope that you will continue and join us, and encourage your friends to sign up and participate. Thanks, Shauna, today for all of your expertise, and we'll see you guys back here 2 weeks from, can you imagine June? That's crazy. June 3rd. We'll see you back Wednesday.
2 weeks.
Have a
I'm
great
watching
day,
for your, I'm
everyone.
watching for your pictures.
And listen, if you want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn, and I would love to see your profile. So, and I'm sure Shauna would too, and she would give good critique if you're asking for.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.